Hey guys, Josh here, and once again I played 3 of the worst farming simulation games available on the Nintendo Switch, spent my time and money on them so you don't have to, and I'll show you how it went. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, leave a like. As always, if we get to 3000 we'll keep this series going. But let's not waste any more time, I have a life to live, more precisely a harvest life. That's our first game, $24.99 Canadian dollars on the eShop. If you really want to play it, I know a good deal, it's $17.49 on Steam, but I spent the big bucks for the Switch version, so I could put Nintendo Switch in the title of this video. This game was developed in Unity. I know this because it freezes on this screen for about 10 seconds, before it brings me to the main menu where I hear this generic but upbeat farm music that I've most likely heard in other games of a similar quality. I start a new save file. I can select my gender, my appearance from a few preset ones, my name, and then interestingly enough, names for the postwoman, the postman, and my grandfather. I can't even see what they look like, which makes it a bit hard to give them names, but I can pick random ones, so we end up with Hannah, Albert, and Jason. Lastly, I can choose my preference between male or female. I wish I could pick both just to keep my options open. It's not clear what the implications are here, but let's go for female. I received a letter from my grandpa Jason. Believe it or not, he's still alive in this game, and he wants me to come and help him on the farm. So I'm heading there with my little wooden horse-drawn carriage, and grandpa didn't tell me the whole truth. It turns out he got into an accident with a tree. I don't know of the specifics, but he's no longer able to do any work. He bought a house for himself in the city, and I'm going to have to do everything by myself here. I don't think he's ever going to his city house though, as he's constantly hanging around here, talking to me, even as I am here, laying on my bed, arms in the air. Obviously, I'm trying to sleep. Despite what he says, I did not sleep well. I get up by teleporting a few meters away from my bed. Now, let's see what this house has to offer. There is a wooden desk right in front of the fireplace. It looks a bit weird, not very safe. And when I try interacting with it, my grandpa tells me now is not the right time. I have no idea what this desk will be for, but there is another one, which will be used to redesign my farm. Before I do any of that though, I want to see what my farm looks like. So let's go outside. Grandpa was waiting for me, of course, and so was Sarah, who needs my help to save a cat stuck in a tree. How do you do that? Cut the tree. That sounds like a plan to get into the same accident as my grandpa. Let's do it. So I'm in the tutorial now, and it's a bit confusing because instead of being taught how to cut the tree with some text, and then having to do it myself in the game, it's all being done as I go through the dialogue, and I'm not feeling like I'm doing anything. The most important though is that the cat is saved. I name her Vanilla because she's white, and now I need to cut the wood in smaller pieces. Right away it jumps to this minigame. The transition is so abrupt it takes me by surprise. I have to press on the flying logs and avoid cutting the apples, but I'm panicking and I have no idea I should be avoiding the apples, so I just chop everything. After that, we plant some crops in the field. I'm shown the power generator and the fodder production machine. I feed my animals, but once again, I'm not feeling like I'm doing any of this by myself. When the tutorial is over, I have 3 tasks from my grandpa: plant 4 carrots, irrigate 5 fields, who knows why those numbers are different, and fill 2 troughs. All of the actions in Harvest Life are contextual, so in the toolbar, the first 2 slots are reserved for things like tools and seeds. They are assigned to the A and B button and change depending on where you are. Other items like consumables are assigned to the D-pad, and it's not a bad system, just took me a minute to understand it. Things like filling the troughs with water and fodder was a bit unclear, especially since we already filled them during the tutorial, but I make it work and I complete all of my tasks for the day. Looking for something to do, I have a look at the progress screen. Here are different skills to level up. Eventually I'll be able to hire employees. That sounds like a lot of fun, and here I can see portraits of Hannah and Albert, along with little heart icons. So I assume they are the 2 romanceable characters, but I am a bit confused by the whole thing. Since they're both in this menu, it looks like I could romance either of them, so why did they make me pick a preference? I go for a walk. I do manage to meet Hannah. She's there, she's the postwoman, all good. But when it comes to Albert, I cannot find him. I think he's simply not in the game, so they made me pick a name for him. He's in the menu, but I'm not sure I can actually meet him. To make things even more confusing, his portrait looks just like one of the options I had while creating my character, and that is the case for most of the villagers. Except for their grandpa maybe, no one has a unique appearance that was designed just for them. All of that to say, I'm not against the idea of romancing the male carrier, choosing their name, but the way it's been implemented feels messy. Speaking of messy, let's try redesigning our farm. There is an editor in the top left corner of the screen where I can see the different controls, how I can select, move, and rotate things, but every few seconds, my grandpa pops up and blocks half of it to give me random tips I don't need. I know he has good intentions, but I wish his dialog box was just a bit lower on the screen. Things are not going well. I delete my fodder production machine by accident, but luckily I can exit the design desk without saving my changes. I try again and I don't know what I did, but poof, my entire farm looks completely different. I'm so confused at first, but spoiler, we will see that later, this right here is my second farm. I don't want to mess things up anymore, so I just get away from this desk, but then from the inside of my house, I can see a bit of what's happening outside, and I can just tell it's a fake outside. The shape of the house is different, so is the wall texture, and I notice the fodder production machine in the corner. I can't resist, I have to see what happens if I delete it. So I go back to my farm design desk, I delete the machine on purpose this time. Effectively, it no longer shows up when I'm outside for real, but it is still there in the fake outside. Obviously, this breaks the immersion, and this is why most games don't let you see outside of your house while you're in it, unless it's an open world. After all of that, I go take care of my animals. I have 2 chickens, 1 cow, and what looks like a pig. I press the A button trying to interact with one of them, but the contextual menu is not the most precise. And even though I'm closer to the animal than the food trough, my action replaces the food with water, meaning my animals no longer have any food. I'm done with this farm, at least for now. Let's see what the rest of the world has to offer. Not too far away is this small town filled with tons of identical houses that are the size of my chicken coop, a restaurant, this big red building, the only one that stands out and I can't enter it. There's also a blacksmith, his name is Smith, and he looks just like another guy I met earlier called Reinhardt. So just like the houses, a lot of the villagers are identical. Like any good smithy, Smith is selling tool upgrades. I don't know if I have a sword. There's no menu where I can see my tools, but I can buy a sword upgrade for 350 gold. I had no idea there was going to be combat in this game, but there is. And just like in that other game I played last month, Farm Night Adventures, it's happening in the cemetery where the grass is so much greener. Who knew human compost was so effective? There are catacombs I can enter, but before I do, this kid tells me he heard a dog barking in there. Mission accepted, let's rescue it. I'm inside the catacombs. I do in fact have a sword, and here's the combat. There are a few sound effects that don't quite sync with the actions, and no knockback, no animation, particle effects, or anything to let me know if I'm hitting correctly or if I'm getting hit. The only thing I can somewhat rely on is my health bar, and it seems to be going down even when I'm not touching any of these skeletons, most likely because of a delay between the actions and when my character actually receives damage. I'm just gonna try to avoid these monsters. As I'm running around, I find chests with gold, as well as a room with this dog called Barry. I don't know how I know his name, but I do, and he's going to follow me. Wait, no, he's not moving. Oh yeah, he's moving. Wait, is he following me? Kind of, but only if I don't go too fast or too far. He is slowly moving tile by tile very robotically, but I think he is following me, so let's head to the exit. As I'm doing that, I see a skeleton we're not touching. It doesn't look like he's trying to attack me or anything, but somehow I die. There's not even an animation for that. The screen freezes for a few seconds and I spawn back outside with a pop-up telling me I was brought to the local doctor. There's no doctor in this game and I'm clearly not in any kind of clinic. And it looks like whoever brought me here stole 256 gold from me. I may have lost some gold, but I don't think I lost any time. The clock is the same and there's no date, day of the week, or calendar anywhere. So I have to assume we're on the same day. I go back in, the chest can be opened again, so I get some of my gold back. I meet up with the dog again. I find out that he can walk through things, so maybe he's a ghost dog. But at one point he stops following me. There's a skeleton chasing me around everywhere. And no matter how hard I try, there's simply no way to be good at combat in this game. I pass out a few seconds after getting hit. I even had time to hit the skeleton back. Like I said, there is so much delay between the actions and their effects. I so badly wanted to rescue Barry. I'm sorry, I really did. But I just gotta give up. It's now past 9 p.m. and I can see all of the villagers walking together towards a forest. It's mysterious, I want to find out what they're up to, so I go inside the forest. But it was a trap, there's absolutely no one. Where did everybody go? Now I'm here all by myself. I walk a little bit, I find a rabbit, it's not moving. Only thing moving is this wolf who jumps towards me. What he doesn't know is that I got some combat practice by now. I slay it with my sword, and as a reward, I don't get anything. No item, no gold, nothing. So what's the point of this forest? I run around for a while. The only thing I find are some berries that I could also find on my farm. And at 1:07, my grandpa, I don't know how I'm hearing him, he's always somewhere giving me some tips, and now he's telling me that I am sleepy and that I should go to bed. Thank you for the warning, Grandpa. I'm running back home, and at 1:11, a big 4 minutes later, which is like 4 seconds in real time, I pass out. Now I'm in front of my house. I guess someone brought me back here. And just like a very tired sim, I'm sleeping on the ground and I can't get up to hop in my bed. My energy is regenerating extremely slowly. My grandpa's telling me I'm sleeping well. Again, that's not true. Barry is walking all over me. Oh my gosh, Barry is here. I don't know how that happened. And around 9 a.m., I finally wake up. Tired, but awake and alive. This pop-up at the top of the screen tells me it's Wednesday. Like I said, there's no calendar, so I'll just have to remember it. In my mailbox is a newspaper, the Dairy News. Even on there, there's no date. There's apparently a shop that wants me to visit them for a delivery. It doesn't say which shop. There's a weather forecast. Is it for later today? For tomorrow? Who knows? And the big event, Noah, the actor in the blockbuster In Vitra, is visiting the bookstore this Wednesday, that should be today, to sign issues of the massive hit, and apparently it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to meet him. There is a lot to unpack here. I'm assuming In Vitra is a book since the event is taking place in a bookstore, but Noah is an actor, so maybe it got adapted into a movie. Then again, I came here in a horse-drawn carriage. I don't think movies exist yet. Maybe it's a play. I need to find out. I go to town, there's a wheel of fortune, I spin it, it takes way too long to stop spinning. But I win some gold and my character is very happy about it. As I search for the bookstore, I find a shop I've not seen before. It is the one that wanted the delivery. I'm not gonna worry about that, but I buy 3 upgrades for my fishing rod. I then go to this pond, I try to fish, and it tells me, well, my grandpa tells me that I first need a fishing rod. So I have the upgrades, but not the actual rod. I think I can fix that tomorrow by talking with this guy called Roman. But first, bookstore. I search and I search, I still can't find it, but I find my second farm, where I luckily didn't delete the fodder production machine, so I make some food for my animals. I also ship a few things, and as I'm doing that, I fall asleep on the ground for a few hours. I wake up, quite upset. Obviously, I missed my chance to meet the famous actor. And I discover that both farms are actually really close to each other. I'm not sure what the point of the 2 farms is, they're only separated by this tree blocking the road. They want me to pay 500 gold to remove it, and I'm not doing that. The next day, Thursday, I've been keeping track. This guy, Roman, gives me my 3 times upgraded fishing rod, and it teaches me how to use it. Sorry, somehow it's not Roman, but actually my grandpa who's teaching me. I need to press A when my bobber is wobbling, and at first I'm a bit confused because I cannot see any wobbling. That is because my bobber is nowhere near where I cast my line. I'm on the top left corner of the dock, and it is showing down here in the bottom right corner. Once I know that, I successfully trigger the minigame, and it's just like Stardew Valley, but a bit more rough. Today, the Dairy News is telling me about FarmCon, the largest agricultural event in the region. There's going to be different speakers, a 24-hour live stream. At this point, I have absolutely no clue as to what time period I'm supposed to be in. I go looking for that convention, but as you can guess, it's not actually there. I don't think the game has any festival or anything like that. I want to say that the newspapers are only for world building, but there is no solid foundation to build that world on. I finish a few tasks for my grandpa, do some more farming. I find out by accident that I can name my animals. I named this one Piggy because all this time I thought it was a pig. But no, it's a cow, and I need to milk it for my quest, so I do that. Then my grandpa asks me to defeat 10 wolves, and that's it, I'm done, it's too much. Keep your farm, Grandpa, I'm going back home. So that was Harvest Life. Now let's have a look at Harvest Days. Also $24.99 Canadian dollars on the eShop and $17.49 on Steam, where it has a slightly different name, Harvest Days My Dream Farm. I already played the Steam version while it was in early access. It was far from being a dream, but let's check out how it is on the Switch as a full release. Here's the title screen. I can see a list of goals. Something tells me this game takes place in Duda's village. Duda with the possessive apostrophe S, which leads me to question who is Duda. I look for a clue in the credits, no Duda in sight, but there is a list of premium bakers. Not backers, bakers. I can already tell this needs more time in the oven, but let's see if it's any good. I create my character, there is a randomizer, I try it, and never mind, I'll make it myself. There's a fairly good amount of options, lots of hairstyles, eyebrows, and facial expressions. I say facial expressions because there are only one or two neutral mouths. You either pick those, or you're stuck doing the same over-the-top, shocked, angry, or crying reaction for the rest of your days. I stick with the default name, Player. I can choose a pet, I go for this husky, and the default name, Pet. Here's my backstory. I think this is supposed to be me as a child, and then me as an adult. I noticed that they used the same 3D models, kept the same proportions. They just made the child version smaller. So I have been growing facial hair since birth, as well as these very thick eyebrows. It actually looks nothing like the character I made, and who is this girl? Am I married? Is she my sister? Why is our sofa blocking the doorway like this? I have lots of questions that will never be answered, but it looks like I'm moving to Duda's village. So I'm on my farm, this is my house. In my toolbar are all of my tools and 5 packets of radish seeds. I check my mailbox and there's a letter from Peter, the mayor, who's sending me 5 packets of radish seeds that I somehow managed to collect before opening the letter. The community organized a welcome party for me at 8 p.m. in the village square and I can't miss it. As they say, work hard, play hard. So let's get to work and plant some radishes. I first need to remove the grass by raking my fields. I rarely see rakes in farming games, such an underrepresented tool, that's cool. Then I start plowing using the hoe and already I'm stuck. I can spin around, change tools, open the pause menu, but there is no way to unstuck myself, not even an option to return to the main menu, which is something we take for granted. I have to go all the way back to the Switch home menu, close the game, restart. It didn't save, I have to start all over again. Alright, I'll take a random character. That should do it, we're just missing a crying face to match how I'm feeling currently. I went for the Labrador this time instead of the Husky, and for some reason it's really yellow, like Simpsons yellow, Lego yellow, not anything close to a dog yellow. That aside, things are going fairly well, I'm able to plant my seeds. The animations take a bit long, but I can spin around while doing them, which makes it more entertaining, and in 3 days from now my radishes should be ready if I make it that long. By the way, if this game looks familiar, most if not all of the assets are from this Cinti low poly farm pack that is on the Unity store. The pack comes with a demo scene and they did not bother changing it too much. They did delete a few of the extra surrounding buildings, but the farm layout is otherwise unchanged from what came with the demo. As I leave my farm, I find some cans and bottles on the ground, and I put them in the recycling bins for a few coins. So now it's 8 AM, 12 hours left until the party. What should I do? I'm not gonna spend all day picking up cans. Let's go see what's up in Duda's village. Getting there takes a little while, and I know with how accessible game engines like Unity are nowadays, creating an open world is easier than ever, at least on a technical level, but that doesn't mean it's the best way to go for your game. Once you have a large world, you then need to fill it with things to see and do. You need to turn running around into something fun and satisfying, and especially if you are a small development team, these are the challenging things. Walking to the village feels like a chore, everything is slow and heavy, plus the performance is not the best, and before anyone blames the Nintendo Switch, from what I can remember, it did not run much better on my gaming PC. On my way to the village, I meet with Peter. He's been the mayor for over 30 years, back when it used to have over 100 inhabitants. He got to witness the decline for so long, and just now he's trying to turn things around. I don't want to give unsolicited advice to the mayor, but I think I found the reason for that decline. There are plots for sale around town, and the daily rent is 1 million. $1 million daily, $1 million to spend one day in Duda's village. Maybe it's a typo, I don't know how the housing mechanics work in the game, but it's no wonder everybody moved out. When I make it to the village square, I meet a few villagers with blurry portraits, and a band is waiting for the party to start. They're not practicing or setting things up, they're just standing there on stage waiting. All of the shops are closed for the event, even the bar that's right next to the stage. It seems like a missed opportunity, and there isn't much to do. I walk around, gather some wood, some stone. I meet a few more people, and I discover the beach. I need to know what happened when they designed this world. On the way to the beach is a path, on each side cliffs that fit pretty well with the rest of the world. But between them, this big rock in a completely different style, different texture. It even has snow on top and it's blocking the road. So in order to let you get to the beach, they added these stairs that simply go up and down the rock. What is the reason behind this? It does not look good. If it wasn't there, you could easily walk straight to the beach. They obviously went out of their way to add this whole thing, and it's giving the impression they were trying to patch up something that didn't look right instead of fixing the root of whatever problem they had. Anyway, I'm on the beach now. I make the mistake of going in the water. Getting out takes forever, or at least it feels like forever, but it's not even 2 p.m. yet. It's my very first day. I'm dying to find something to do. I'm bored and I'm playing on the fastest setting, which is 30 minutes per day. On my way back from the beach, I stumble upon these electric scooters. They remind me of another fun game I played called Oriental Valley. The controls are not the best, but it will get me places. At 3 p.m., I'm back at the plaza, and I'm just gonna stay around here. Villagers are walking in a very unnatural way. The band is still waiting, and there is this girl in her red Jeep. I think she's the only person who drives, and she's been doing the same trip around the block all day long. When the clock finally hits 8 p.m., the sky gets dark, spotlights are on, the band is playing this lovely little track, and people start dancing. I can also dance by holding the X button, and all of this is accompanied by fireworks. They went all in for my arrival. Despite the fire atmosphere, maybe he's regretting how much money he spent on me, but Peter is not into it. I can't get him to dance. Okay, it took a bit of work, but he is warming up. At 8:30 he starts dancing, and now we're all having fun together. What a blast. This is what life in Duda's village is all about. Alright, that's enough. It's 9:50, stop the music, time to go home. Except for the band, they have to stay on the stage all night long, no matter what. Day 2, I'm back at work, I water my crops, head to the store to buy a fishing rod, and now, every few hours, there is a random tutorial that pops up, the intrusive kind of pop-up that pauses the game, but they're not even related to anything I'm doing. 7:50, don't forget to water your crops. 9:50, check out the general store. It's not information I need at the moment, and it is getting in the way of me trying to fish. So just like in Harvest Life, fishing in Harvest Days is pretty much the same as in Stardew Valley, but a bit more rough. This time at least the bobber shows up at the right place, but each time I catch a fish, they fly high above me and end up back in the water behind me, where I then have to go search for them and pick them up. After my fishing, I go back to the square now that the shops are open. I visit the town hall, not much there, there's whiskey on Peter's desk, lots of portraits of himself. Not too far is also this tiny hospital, also not much going on there. And right next to it is a bar with crane machines. I pay a few coins and I get this bear plushie, aka Cuddly Toy number 18. I put it in my toolbar, I press on it, and it disappears. Did I just eat it? What happened? Not sure, but it's okay, let's buy another one. This time I get a duck, Cuddly Toy number 15. I guess it bugged earlier, now it lets me place it in the environment. There's no grid, controls are not very precise. I decide to put it in front of the bar, it will greet the customers. When I try moving it again, it does not work, so it will have to stay there forever. Oh, and here's the bear, floating in front of the window. I go for a ride on my electric scooter, I'm having fun, it has surprising off-roading capabilities. Then I make the mistake of going in the water again. The scooter doesn't do as well in there, I learned that the hard way, and now I have to walk all the way back home. I go to bed, do this little spinning thing as I'm waking up, and I'm decided to check out the crafting mechanics. This workbench requires 50 wood and 20 stones. Resources are highlighted in green, which means I have them. But when I try crafting, it tells me I don't. That is because in my inventory, I have one stack of 12 stones and another stack of 17. The game is not seeing anything that's 20 or over, it thinks I don't have the stone. But I combine the stacks, now it works, and I craft my workbench. Using that workbench, I make a chair, I place it down, then I try to sit on it, but the button to interact with furniture and to move furniture is the same. So depending on how your character is positioned, sometimes you'll move the chair, other times you'll sit on it if you're lucky. It is so frustrating, I eventually trigger the sitting action, then I get stuck in this weird pose. I'm floating through my house, I can't control or do anything at this point. I seriously consider quitting the game, but I give it some time, I want to see what happens. And after a minute or so, I am now behind my house. I'm sitting down on this invisible chair with no way of getting up. So I'm just stuck. It's a shame I did not even get to harvest my radishes, but that was harvest days. Last, let's have a look at Harvest Yuuka. I had never heard of this game before I started searching for games with harvest in their name for this video. If it's news for you as well, leave a like and we'll keep learning about new games together. This one is $33.77, not a price point I see very often, and it is a Switch exclusive. I boot up the game, it's all in Japanese, no worries, there's an English option, we're all set. One thing I'm noticing now for the first time as I'm looking back at this footage, on the title screen it says this game is a Toho Project fan game, and that explains so much. So Toho Project is a series of shoot-'em-up games that's been active since 1997. They have so many mainline games, spin-offs, all of these different characters that fans know and love, there's a lot of lore, other medias like music and books, and I don't know a single thing about any of it, I found this on Wikipedia. So this right here is a fan game. It seems like this series has tons of games made by fans. It's a bit hard to tell what is official, what is not. I'm assuming the owner of the IP must be pretty chill as they don't seem to be getting in any legal trouble. But long story short, this is a farming sim, fan game, kind of spin-off of a series I know nothing about. I start a new game and very cool, I get to choose my starting season. Spring and summer, we've seen those so many times. They're often similar, winter is typically a bit tough to start with. Let's go for autumn. I'm playing as this yokai called Yuuka Kazami, who has the ability to manipulate flowers, and she decides to become a beloved flower master, and so she buys this plot of land nearby the human village. So here I am, then this girl shows up, her name is Medicine. Yes, you heard that right, Medicine. And one after the other, all of these characters come to my farm, they all seem to know each other. They're talking a lot, and I don't know what they're talking about. If you're familiar with this series, you might have a good time, but it was clearly not made for newcomers. Needless to say, I'm going to focus on the gameplay, I can't keep up with the story. Farming is simple, I can switch tools by using the L, R, X or Y buttons. Actions are done with A. I till the soil, plant some rice seedlings, water them. My stamina is low already, I go rest in my tent. I can't actually go inside, it's just a menu, and it skips to the next day. In the morning, I water my rice again, I place some logs to grow mushrooms, and I make my way to the human village. Going from one area to the other in this game is all done through the world map, so you just select a location and it teleports you. In the village is a store where I can buy seeds, and where the shopkeeper's portrait is too large to fit on the screen. I get a few fruit trees and sweet potato seeds, and next door is a bookstore. I have my copy of Invitra, eager to finally get it signed, but to my disappointment, Noah is still not here. When I get out, I try talking to this girl, and I feel like I'm living in a different world. I have absolutely no idea what she's saying. I think there's probably a lot of inside jokes, references to other games or characters. I'm completely lost. Lastly, there is a shop where I'll be able to upgrade my tools, so after using them a bit more, I'll come back here with money and materials. And this girl, Marisa, will make them more efficient. That is pretty much it for the village. I go back home, plant my sweet potato seeds. I want to plant my fruit trees as well, but they need 9 squares, and I don't have enough stamina to clear up that much space. I also don't have an axe or pickaxe yet, so I have to remove things by hand, and I'm not sure if I'm missing out on any materials. It is a bit crazy how quickly stamina decreases, and I can't do much on most days. When stamina is depleted, then this yellow fatigue bar goes up, and once that is full, you pass out. Fatigue restores itself a bit after sleeping, but not completely. This system is actually quite similar to older Harvest Moon games, but it's so easy to pass out if you don't constantly keep an eye on those bars, because there's no animation or anything on your character that's gonna show you you're getting tired. Fortunately, there is a way to increase maximum stamina, and that is by doing quests. There is this menu with over 100 quests, things like harvest X amount of crops, cut X amount of wood, and there are more advanced quests that require befriending other characters. It's quite nice to be able to keep track of everything like that. I am just getting started, but it looks like completing these quests could be satisfying. After a few days, I harvest my first crops. I sell them through a shipping box. Again, that's just a menu. There are lots of menus in this game. You cannot walk over some of the crops, just like in the old Harvest Moon games, which can make watering a bit tricky, but once you know it and you plant seeds accordingly, it's fine. I bring my watering can to Marisa. In 2 days, the upgrade will be ready, and it will water 2 tiles at a time, making all of this a bit easier. While in town, I talk to different characters, which unlocks a few new locations on the map. There is now a forest of magic, and there lives Marisa, who seems to always be both at her shop and her house at the same time. There's also this new store with a guy who sells medicine. Don't worry, not the girl from earlier, but actual medicine, such as this Otogiriso. Not sure what it means, but it recovers stamina. I also buy an axe and a pickaxe from him, so now I will be able to clear my fields more easily and make space for my fruit trees. Wood, grass, and rocks on the farm don't provide any materials, so I was not missing out on much earlier. But those same things in the Forest of Magic do randomly provide stuff. When I say random, it's really random, so a rock there could give you a platinum ore, a copper ore, or even a trash ore. There is no way to tell, and they all look the same. Speaking of same, every day is pretty much the same. I farm, get a few things in the forest, talk with some of the characters, have no clue what they're talking about, complete a quest or two, go to bed. It's very simple. There's honestly not much to say, but this is not a bad game. It has an extremely niche target audience. It is a fan game. You can tell that there was not a big budget, even though it is the most expensive game I played today. It does not reinvent anything, but there is some passion behind it. Lots of dialogue, fun characters, and even if I don't care personally, I can tell that the writers did care about this project. Plus, I did not notice any bug or game-breaking issues. I end up playing for a month, and there are for sure a few weird things, like when you harvest a fruit tree, the tree just disappears. They are a one-time crop like all others, and they're not worth the extra time and space they require. Then, when comes winter, while I expect a few branches and rocks to respawn, the entire field resets and it's as messy as it was on day one. Also, it does not look like winter, autumn did not look like autumn. All of the seasons are the same visually, except when you look at the world map, and the only difference in gameplay is that the seeds change from one season to the next. But I've planted enough seeds for the day. Now let me quickly rank these 3 games we just experienced from best to worst. Number 1, the best game is Harvest Yuuka. It is on the more expensive side, very niche, so I would not recommend it to most people, but it is functional, there's a charm to it, and if you like Toho Project, it might be something you could be interested in. Number 2, we have Harvest Life. This one is confusing, generic, reminded me a lot of Farm Night Adventures. Not good, but not the worst. In third position, we have Harvest Days. This game has lots of bugs, not much creativity or originality when it comes to the world and characters. The open world is such a pain to explore. They're gonna try to entice you with a big exciting party, but please stay away from Duda's village. Let me know what you think of these games. Have you played them? Do you agree or disagree with my ranking? Are there other bad farming games you'd like me to check out? If you enjoyed, leave a like on this video. You can watch similar ones in this playlist. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next video.